It was the kind of evening where the air itself seemed to hum with secrets. The city streets glistened with a recent rain, reflecting the flickering lights like 1,000 tiny stars. Yet inside her small apartment, Emma felt an emptiness that no amount of noise or movement could fill. She sat by the window, tracing the raindrops as they raced each other down the glass, whispering under her breath, "Why does it feel like everything is falling into place, except me?" Her life had been a collection of waiting rooms, waiting for calls that never came, waiting for opportunities that seemed to vanish just when she reached out, waiting for signs that God, or whatever higher power, was even aware of her existence. Years of perseverance had left her tired, skeptical, but not entirely defeated. Deep down, she still hoped, even when hope felt like a fragile thread. Then, as if the universe had paused for a breath, her old brass mailbox clicked. Not the usual mail. She could feel it in her bones that this time it was different. She froze, eyes widening as her heartbeat began to echo in her ears. A small envelope had slipped through the slot. No stamp, no return address. Just her name, written in elegant, looping letters that seemed impossibly familiar and yet not human. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up. The paper was warm, oddly warm, as though it had absorbed the breath of someone, or something, that had been waiting to deliver it to her. She almost dropped it, but curiosity pushed her forward. A soft wind stirred inside her apartment, brushing past her cheek and whispering a wordless invitation. Emma hesitated, then tore the seal. Inside was a single sheet of parchment, blank at first glance. But as she held it, faint golden letters began to shimmer across the page, forming words she didn't recognize, but understood perfectly. "Tonight, you will see the first sign. The one who was sent knows your heart. You are ready." A shiver ran down her spine. She looked around, half expecting to see someone, anyone, standing in her room. But she was alone. And yet, she wasn't. She could feel it, a presence that was neither seen nor heard, but undeniably real. A warmth, gentle yet insistent, wrapped around her like a familiar embrace she couldn't quite remember. Her mind raced. Angels, destiny, a letter from heaven? It all sounded impossible. But the paper pulsed in her hand, glowing faintly, like the heartbeat of the message itself. She whispered, almost fearing her own voice, Who sent this?" No answer came, except a subtle fluttering behind her, like wings brushing against the walls of her room. And in that moment, Emma knew, this was no ordinary evening. Tonight, the world would shift, just for her. The letter had arrived, and whatever force had written her name across the heavens had begun its work. Her life, she realized, was about to awaken in ways she had never dared to imagine. Emma sank onto the edge of her bed, clutching the letter as if it were a lifeline. Her hands shook, but it wasn't just fear, it was anticipation, awe, and a longing she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years. Memories flooded her mind, nights spent praying in silence, whispers into the dark air, asking for guidance, for a sign, for just one indication that she mattered. And now, here it was, a sign so tangible, so impossible, that it almost felt like heaven itself had leaned down to touch her. She ran her fingers over the glowing words again, tracing them slowly. "Tonight, you will see the first sign." Her pulse quickened. The first sign. That phrase settled in her chest like a promise she wasn't ready to fully believe, but wanted with every fiber of her being. For years, disappointment had been her constant companion. Each hope deferred, each door closed, had hardened her, left cracks in her faith. But this letter seemed to know her cracks, her loneliness, her waiting. It acknowledged it, whispered to it, and offered more. A soft tapping at the window drew her attention. Rain pattered against the glass, but there was something in the pattern, gentle, deliberate. Her breath caught as she noticed it, a small white feather clinging to the wet ledge outside, illuminated by the streetlight. She blinked. Feathers weren't unusual, but this one felt sacred. As she reached for it, a warmth spread through her chest, like someone was whispering, "You are not alone. You have never been alone." Tears pricked her eyes. For years, she had questioned whether the world, or God, had forgotten her. Every failure, every heartbreak, every unanswered prayer had built a wall around her heart. And yet, now, that wall began to crack. Each shimmer of golden light from the letter, each heartbeat in her chest, seemed to speak a language older than the world itself, one of patience, of purpose, of love that had been quietly watching, quietly preparing. She whispered to herself, trembling, "How do I deserve this? How do I deserve to be seen after all this time?" But the answer didn't come in words. It came in the subtle shift of the air around her, in the gentle brush of unseen wings, in the way the letter seemed to thrum with life in her hands. Every doubt, every fear, felt like it was being lifted, carefully, lovingly, until she felt hope. And then came a sound, barely audible, yet undeniable, a soft hum, melodic and steady, like a lullaby meant just for her. It wrapped around her like a blanket, calming the storm inside her. She closed her eyes, letting the feeling wash over her. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to believe that she had not been overlooked, not abandoned, not forgotten. Somewhere deep inside, a spark ignited, a spark that whispered, "Something greater is coming. Something only you could be a part of." And though she didn't yet know what it was, Emma felt the tremor of destiny begin to stir. She wasn't just waiting anymore. She was being called. The letter spread before her like a map to a hidden world. The rain outside had slowed, leaving the city streets glistening under the soft glow of the streetlights. But inside her apartment, the air felt charged, alive with a rhythm she had never noticed before. Every sound, every flicker of light seemed intentional, as if the universe itself was leaning in to whisper secrets meant only for her ears. She read the lines again. "Tonight, the alignment will begin. Watch for the signs, and trust what you cannot yet understand." Her mind raced. Signs? Alignment? She had never been trained to expect such things. And yet, as she folded the letter and set it on her lap, her intuition insisted this was real. That somehow, the words weren't merely ink on paper, they were alive. A sudden knock at the door startled her. She wasn't expecting anyone, and in the middle of the night, the sound felt uncanny. Her heart pounded, but curiosity pushed her forward. She opened the door to find nothing, except for a small, intricately carved wooden box resting on the threshold. No note, no explanation, just the box, waiting. Hands trembling, she lifted it and opened the lid. Inside was a delicate crystal pendant, shaped like a teardrop, reflecting faint rainbows in the dim light. Emma's breath caught. The pendant seemed familiar, almost as if it recognized her. She lifted it to her chest, and in that instant, a vision overtook her senses. A garden bathed in golden light, a river flowing with sparkling water, and a figure whose face she could not see, yet whose presence felt profoundly protective and kind. The vision shifted rapidly. She saw herself standing in pivotal moments of her life, childhood dreams, first heartbreaks, nights of loneliness, each scene now glowing with purpose she had never recognized before. The message became clear. Everything she had endured was not random. Every delay, every tear, every closed door had been a thread woven into a tapestry of destiny. Her eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "So, all of it, it was for this." The crystal seemed to pulse with warmth, syncing with her heartbeat. In that moment, Emma understood the truth the letter had been hinting at. She was being positioned, quietly, carefully, for something extraordinary, something only she could accomplish. Outside, the rain resumed, soft and rhythmic. Each drop seemed like a note in a symphony composed specifically for her awakening. Emma felt her spirit expand. What had once been fear now transformed into a deep, unshakable certainty. She realized that she wasn't just a passive observer of her life. She was a chosen participant in a divine plan far greater than she could imagine. And then, as if on cue, a whisper reached her ears, gentle, intimate, and unmistakable. The world is waiting for what only you can bring. Begin to step forward, and you will see. Her heart surged with both awe and courage. Tonight, she would no longer wonder if destiny existed. Tonight, she would begin to see it unfold. One supernatural sign, one moment at a time. Emma held the crystal pendant in her hands, but her mind was a storm of doubt. Am I really ready for this? What if it's just a coincidence, or worse, a trick of my imagination? She pressed her palms to her eyes, trying to steady her racing thoughts. Every fiber of her being wanted to believe, but years of disappointment and unanswered prayers had built walls too strong to dismantle in a single night. The visions she had seen earlier kept replaying in her mind, shimmering in and out like faint echoes of another life. She remembered the broken moments, the nights she had whispered prayers into the void, the doors that remained firmly closed no matter how desperately she knocked. And now, suddenly, here was this letter, this mysterious pendant, this sense that unseen hands were guiding her. It felt too much, too sudden, too unreal. Her heart ached with fear. What if I fail? What if I'm not meant for what they're asking me to do? A tear slid down her cheek as the weight of doubt pressed against her chest. The apartment that had once felt safe now seemed like a cage, and every shadow in the room whispered of hesitation. But then, the crystal pulsed in her hand. It was subtle at first, a gentle warmth, like sunlight brushing against her skin. Then came a whisper, not loud, not frightening, but clear and tender, echoing in her very soul. You have been prepared for this. Not by chance, not by luck, but by design. Every struggle, every heartbreak, every moment you thought was wasted, it was shaping you to step into this moment. Emma's breath caught. Her skepticism wrestled with the truth of the words, but deep down, a spark of recognition flared. She had always felt something bigger calling her, a sense of purpose too vast to ignore. The whisper continued, the fear you feel is not a sign of weakness. It is the doorway to courage. Trust what you cannot yet see, and the unseen will guide your steps. Her mind struggled against the idea, but how can I trust it? How can I know it's real? And yet, the warmth of the crystal, the visions, the letter, all pointed to one undeniable fact: she was being called, and resisting now would only delay her destiny. Emma sank to the floor, clutching the pendant to her chest. The whisper returned, this time like a melody. Child of heaven, your waiting is over. Your purpose is ready. Step forward, even if the path is hidden. You are not alone. You are chosen. The conflict inside her softened. The fear remained, but it no longer dominated her. For the first time, she felt a harmony between doubt and faith, a quiet assurance that the journey she had been fearing was exactly where she was meant to be. Rising slowly, she held the crystal high. Its light reflected in her eyes, igniting a newfound courage. Emma realized she could move forward, not because she was fearless, but because she was no longer alone. The divine truth had settled in her soul. She had been watched, prepared, and called into something far greater than she had ever imagined. A deep breath, a steadying heartbeat, and for the first time, Emma whispered back to the unseen presence, I am ready. Emma took a deep breath, holding the crystal pendant tight against her chest. The apartment around her seemed to fade, as though the walls themselves were stepping back to make space for something sacred. The letter lay open on the table, glowing faintly under the lamplight, and for the first time, she felt the weight of its message not as a puzzle, but as a promise. The whispers grew louder, not in volume but in clarity, filling every corner of her mind and heart. Tonight, your name has been written in heaven. Tonight, the path you feared becomes the path you were always meant to walk. You are not chosen by chance, you are chosen by purpose. Emma's knees trembled as the truth unfolded within her. All the years of doubt, the nights of despair, the countless moments she had questioned her worth, they weren't mistakes. They were preparation. Each heartbreak had sharpened her empathy. Each failure had strengthened her resilience. Every lonely night had tuned her spirit to hear the divine. She lifted her eyes toward the ceiling, tears streaming down her face. I understand now, she whispered. The crystal glowed brighter, warming her palms as though responding to her acceptance. The letter seemed to hum with life, each word shimmering like starlight. And then it happened. A sudden calm, a warmth that filled the entire room, wrapping around her like invisible arms of love. Emma felt a surge of energy coursing through her veins, a vibration that aligned her very heartbeat with the rhythm of purpose. She realized that this was more than a message. It was a calling, a blessing, a direct touch from something divine. Go now, beloved child, the voice whispered one final time. Step forward into your destiny. Speak with courage, act with faith, and live as the miracle you were created to be. Every soul you touch will carry the light you were given tonight. A smile broke across her face, soft but unstoppable. The fear that had clutched at her for so long melted into a quiet certainty. She knew she had been tested, shaped, and finally awakened to the life she had been longing for, though she hadn't realized it. Emma picked up the pendant and placed it around her neck. Its warmth settled over her heart, a constant reminder that she was never alone, never forgotten, and always protected. She folded the letter carefully, tucking it into her journal, knowing that it was not just a piece of paper but a symbol of her divine alignment. As dawn's first light touched her window, Emma stepped forward into the day, her step steady, her spirit radiant. Every shadow that had once held her back seemed to dissolve in the golden glow of purpose. The world had not changed, she had. And now, she carried heaven's reminder wherever she went, that the unseen forces were always guiding her, and that her destiny was already unfolding. Emma paused at her doorstep, looked up at the sky, and whispered a single word, "Thank you." And in that moment, she felt it, an invisible hand pressing gently on her shoulder, a sacred affirmation that the letter, the pendant, and every divine whisper were hers to claim. She was not just a witness of the miraculous, she was living proof that heaven never forgets, never abandons, and always delivers exactly what the heart needs when it is ready. The world would never look the same again, because Emma had remembered what the angels had always known. She was chosen, she was called, and her story had just begun.